First of all, let me say that I'm extremely conscious that the clock is ticking. And in more sense than one, because the IPCC report does say that the clock is ticking for the whole world. And I also find that somebody else has consumed my 1 minute. So I will bear the indulgence. I will bear the indulgence of the chair and the audience. But what we've been hearing since yesterday, probably more than 100 times, is that 2015 is an extremely critical year. And it is a critical year because either by design or by default, the world is charged with the responsibility of finalizing the Sustainable Development Goals as also the Climate Change Agreement. But I think it's a very fortuitous coincidence, and it provides the world a very powerful opportunity to demonstrate the resolve to balance the need for development and the need to have a clean environment. Indeed, recognize that how the right to development and how the right to environment can coexist. It is in this sense that I think the outcome of the Lima call for action is welcome because it restores some of the fundamental issues that concerns climate change and which are indeed a source of major action in developing countries. India has played a very proactive role, and I think we are determined to continue to play a proactive role so that we have a positive and pragmatic agreement in Lima. Now, the action which India is taking, and I'm focusing on the two subjects, adaptation and mitigation. Incidentally, as I said, adaptation has been restored and it has been given a prime place in the Lima call for action. We have about 8 missions which we have already launched for several years. 2 of them are very clearly directed towards mitigation, and the others are missions which are directed towards adaptation. The water mission, the agriculture mission for sustainable agriculture, and the mission for sustainable habitat. These are important missions which we have launched and which will address both the adaptation needs and in some sense the need for mitigation also. But the other 2 important missions, that is the solar mission and the mission on enhanced energy efficiency, I think are 2 unique missions. We have already heard several times that the target which India has very boldly announced of scaling up significantly our dependence on renewable energy is indeed a laudable effort. And apart from changing considerably the profile of our energy consumption, it will also lead to a lot of mitigation action. Similarly, the National Mission on Enhanced Energy Efficiency, I think is an important mission which will lead to many industrial sectors, 8 of them already identified, many more to be identified, where the specific energy consumption in these industries has to be brought down. Apart from this, many new initiatives and new areas have already been identified. And I'm saying all this because we are not waiting for 2020 when the INDCs will become operative. We are acting right now. And we do want that many of these programs have meaningful and effective outcomes even before 2020. Now, in terms of preparing the INDCs, we have launched a major consultation process with all stakeholders because this, we believe, is an exercise in which all stakeholders are involved, the private sector is involved. We have 29 states who have already prepared their state action plans on climate change. They have to be taken on board, and we have to now see how the actions which they have proposed can actually be translated into targets, which can be reflected in INDC. And we are very confident that we would be declaring our targets well before the expected time, that is before the Paris Agreement. With reference to INDC, I find that my clock has been reset. So I don't know how much time.
About 2.5.
Well, The point, I think, which we must recognize about INDCs, and I'm drawing upon a phrase which has been used in the Lima Agreement, and that is that the expectation is that INDC should be fair and ambitious. So the point is what is fair, and the point is what is ambitious. According to our understanding, equitable is fair. And according to the dictionary, ambitious means something which you're determined to succeed. So we are determined to succeed. But ambitious also means something which is difficult to achieve. And we must recognize where the difficulty arises from. And that is where I think the world together will have to deepen its understanding, recognize the difficulties which developing countries have, whether it is in terms of achieving the Human Development Index, whether it is in terms of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. It is meant to bridge the huge development deficit which exists in the country, the right to energy, the right to clean drinking water. These are all basic necessities which the country is striving for and for which we need to deploy our resources. So whether the difficulty arises on account of balancing the need for development and balancing the need for maintaining a clean environment, for which you need finances, for which you need technology, I think these are things which we need to recognize and address. I think the time for debate is over. The time for action is on. And the way I look at it is that this is a tremendous opportunity for the global community to demonstrate its resolve, that together we will make this happen. And we see the INDCs not as a tabulation of targets. I think INDC is an instrument of trust. We can make the INDCs comprehensive and do away with a lot of apprehensions which exist in the mind of different parties who have been wedded to their positions. And they should take a step forward and understand that how we can, in a very harmonious manner, address the issues of climate change. I would like to draw the attention of everybody that both the SDG and the climate change INDCs also contain in them the essential issue of means of implementation. And I think we would do well to recognize that and address that. Finally, since I have to stop here, I would just like to remind everybody and myself that in the 1919 declaration of the ILO, I think a very powerful expression was used, that poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. And I think this spirit should always be at the back of our mind when we chart our path for the future. Thank you very much.